Wavy boy, go crazy.
Justice Wisconsin, the truth. The most requested advocate in the state. 101.7 FM. The movement continues. Yeah. Milwaukee, stand up. It's Tory Lowe, the truth. From 1 to 4, we about that action, so tap in and let's go. We want that justice, we want all the smoke. From Monday through Friday, trying to bring the city hope. Tory Lowe from 1 to 4, Monday through Friday, let's go. We bout that action from the block, and we ready, let's go. Tap in, and it ain't no holding back. We ready!
101.7 The Truth. Tory Lowe Show, live from American Family Insurance Studio downtown at the Avenue. The movement continues. The marathon continues right here on 101.7 FM. Welcome to the third hour of the Tory Lowe Show. This Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. And we got guests in the building. Today we had a lot of guests in the building. We got Godzilla, B. Justice, Liz Brown in the studio, but we got a special guest on the lines. Who is it, Benjamin?
Look, hey, I am a fan, all right? When you sit back and talk about science, you talk about black holes, you talk about time travel, all those things that make up our universe, all right? Who we have right now on the lines is none other than Neil deGrasse Tyson, all right? Famous astrophysicist, and once before was voted, he voted and won sexiest astrophysicist.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Let's bring Mr. Tyson on the lines. How you doing, Neil Tyson?
Hello, guys. Well, first, I have to clarify. Yes, I was sexiest astrophysicist alive at People magazine, but that was 45 pounds ago. Just to make it clear. If you can track time by body weight, that's when that was. But yeah, otherwise, just trying to keep the universe doing what it's doing.
Now you got an event in Milwaukee. What are you going to be doing? And how can people get involved in seeing you right here in the city of Milwaukee?
Yeah, so I've been invited through town, and I'm giving a public talk.
Wow.
On the topic of one of my favorite subjects, and I titled it "An Astrophysicist Goes to the Movies." And so I sit there and I show dozens of movie clips, and those clips contain science that they tried to get right but didn't, and other clips where they didn't care about science and happened to get it right. And so all of it. So this is at the Riverside Theater. It's like tomorrow night, 8:00, and I think there are a couple of tickets left. I'm not sure. I haven't checked on it in the last couple of days. What the other? But it's An Astrophysicist Goes to the Movies, the sequel, because I've actually been through town a couple of years ago with the original of this, An Astrophysicist Goes to the Movies. So it's a whole other set of movies. And they're movies, it's not just sci-fi movies where we talk about the science in it. There are other movies. For example, did you know that the movie A Bug's Life has extraordinary science portrayed in it?
Right.
This is like animated ants, okay? But there's like, oh my gosh, somebody thought about this. Somebody had science in college and wrote script for this movie. And I also comment that in The Wizard of Oz, they have some bad math in The Wizard of Oz. You might not have noticed that, but I did. So I'm going to show it to you.
What? Some bad math?
Yeah, you don't remember this? Okay.
Oh,
so
math.
I won't give it away. A bad math. There's at the end when Oz is giving out, the heart and the diploma and all these things to the scarecrow and everything. So he gives a diploma to the scarecrow. And he says, what you don't have is a diploma, which every educated person has. And the moment he hands him the diploma, the scarecrow recites an equation, okay, which was supposed to be the Pythagorean theorem, which we might remember from middle school.
Right.
But he gets it wrong. And there's no reason for him they could have called any math teacher from 8th grade, middle school, and they could have hooked that up, and they just got it wrong. And here's one of the most famous movies ever made. So I'm just calling out. I just say this is so. It's just a fun night, and there's some beer commercials that are oddly scientifically literate. You'll see some of those, and so it's just a celebration of science and pop culture. as seen through the lens of movies.
Now it's Black History Month, and I saw where you were talking about Africa and some of the things that came out of Africa, and you have a lot of knowledge on a lot of things. I got a brother in the studio with me today. He said you even talk about he heard you talk about time travel.
Well,
I mean, who doesn't want to talk about time travel?
Right.
Everybody, it's a favorite theme in many science fiction films, and plus, many of us want to time travel, right? However, I got something to say about time travel real quick, that time travel, you might want to think twice about that, because think about it. Think about it. If you say, okay, here it is, walk into this box and choose any time you want. Think about it. If you are a person of color, if you are female, if you are historically oppressed, there is no time in history where you were treated better than in the present. And ideally, I'm going into the future, is all I'm saying, okay? So just think about it.
So don't go back in time, because you might get whipped by a slave master. Somebody might catch you and start lashing you on the back.
If I go back in time, I am not an astrophysicist. I'm a Pullman porter hauling somebody's luggage, okay?
Oh, wow.
I'm someone's butler.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What if we can go back to Egypt? You say we can't go back to Egypt where they was building the pyramids and stuff. We get mistreated if we go there? If we go back to Africa like that?
Hold on. Who's building the pyramids? Okay.
You wasn't getting paid for that either. You wasn't getting paid for building the pyramids either.
They might put me to work.
The architects or the thousands of people hauling bricks? Who are you going to be? Just be real about this. Be real. And you realize until 150 years ago or so, the life expectancy of humans in the world was about 36. It had not much improved since cavemen days. Only in the last 150 years are we living to any appreciable age. We're living twice as long as our great-grandparents did. So, no, I am not going back in the past and where I'm going to get tuberculosis. I'm going to whatever. No. With sanitation was awful. You see these pictures with horse-drawn carriages. Do you know people bathe once a month and only then if they needed it?
Oh, wow.
But if everybody was doing it, though.
If that was the culture.
And you're pissing into a pot and then throwing the pot out the window. No, I'm not going back in time.
Oh, wow.
Okay, can we go forward real quick?
Go right ahead.
Can we go forward real quick, Dr. Tyson, real quick? Talk to us, Hollywood, and we're talking about things that they got right and got wrong in science. What were the parallels that you were able to see in the movie, let's say, I, Robot, as it pertains to AI and what we might be faced with today with current technology?
Okay, yeah, so it's interesting. I, Robot is very well done, and I don't talk much about movies that are well done, because I want to highlight what somebody got right that you didn't expect them to get right. And I'm going to highlight something they got wrong that they should have gotten right. Right? So, and I, Robot is a very well done film. And what intrigued me the most was, because I programmed computers. I probably coded 50,000 lines of code in my life. And so what they were describing was that there's a brief moment in the film. You could easily miss it. It's like, when before they're like turned on and they're just in some basic state and they're in the truck ready to be delivered, they're gathering together, like they're walking towards each other and they're hanging out. And like, did we program that? No. This was like leftover code that they never deleted, but it's dangling there, connecting with other dangling code, creating behavior you did not program into it. And I thought to myself, that's kind of like what the human brain is. We have this leftover this stuff going on in our brain that is completely irrational, that might have worked long ago on the evolutionary plains of the Serengeti, but right now, no. It is interfering with our ability to function. I'll give you an idea. We used to trust our feelings, right? Yeah, this feels like it should happen this way, okay? You could be at a roulette table betting on 7. I say, why are you betting on 7? Well, because it's due. Well, how do you know it's due? Well, they show the previous 20 rolls, and it hasn't shown up. No, it's not due. Okay? No, because statistics does not match what you want to be true about the world. This is a failure of the brain wiring of the human mind. And casinos have risen up to exploit that fact. And so the things that we do that are leftovers in the programming of the brain, because the brain is not freshly made for modern civilization. It's got baggage from way back, way back. If someone cuts you off in the road, you want to get angry with them and scream at them? What does that really solve? But your urges do this. This is left over when someone took your food, okay? Someone took your food. And what were you going to do about it? Because you might starve. So you had to get angry. Someone took an opportunity from you. Lash out. Another thing, okay? In America, food is everywhere at all times. We might be the only country in the world with overweight homeless people, okay?
Wow.
Okay?
It is plenty food out there now.
There's so much food. By the way, when I give money to homeless people, which I do often, I only give one to the ones that look undernourished. But there's some chubby homeless people that have no shortage of food. So watch this. Why is it that you'll have a second and third helping? Well, the food is good. You're going to be eating 3 hours later.
Is that got a lot to do with PFAs that they put in the chemicals to block the nerves to understand that you're
overanalyzing it.
Oh, okay.
You're correct. No, that's all correct. But you're overanalyzing it. It's simpler than that. There was a day when you never knew when you would eat again.
Dig that.
So you had, if food was in front of you, you ate as much as you could.
Right.
If you had sensors then that said, no, you're full, stop eating, you'll be starving 30 hours later and you could die. So your body shuts off those sensors and you keep eating. So now we live in a world where food is everywhere, yet we don't have these shutdown sensors because they're left over from when you needed it to not die. This is a hijacking of our brain wiring that's going on today that's left over. That's all I'm saying. So you mentioned iRobot, which I delighted in that film, but it's the wiring that created behavior that did not match or fulfill the needs of those robots in that film. That's all. By the way, I don't think we're going to be making robots. This is not the trend line. In the 1960s and 50s, when that story was actually written, yeah, sure. But today, was it the Jetsons where they had a maid who wore an apron and was a female robot maid? Okay, and
Irona, I remember that, Dr. Tyson. But what about what about Boston Electronics? Right? No, I'm a complete Uber nerd. But what about Boston Electronics with the dogs that they can't kick over? And do you see them dancing and now they're doing the Running Man and stuff? All these robots over there.
The
police dogs.
Those are robots, though, right?
They're robots. They're all robots. But is that robot also going to make your coffee? No. So what's happening is we imagine today where a robot would then drive your car. No. A
Tesla drives the car, though.
Is the robot.
Oh, right. Okay, so the brain is in there. Right.
The car is the robot. That's the point, okay? You're not going to make a whole humanoid robot. No. I'm going to create a dishwasher that knows exactly what to do when I push a button. I don't need a robot to do that. The dishwasher is the robot. The coffee machine is the robot. All of these, that's how we've been distributing the computing power of our needs. We're not going to turn it all into one thing. I don't see that happening.
Hey, Doctor, real quick.
So I disagree.
Real quick. Let me ask you about while we on, because I got a lot of nerd questions, like the multiverse in the Marvel films. Do you have any opinion about the multiverse and how that's being presented?
Yeah, it's a little overblown. Here's the thing. In an actual multiverse, the current understanding of how they're created, because we would be one universe of many, the laws of physics would be like slightly different in the multiverse.
Like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, right?
Well, perhaps. And so that's very risky to start jetting back and forth from one multiverse and the other. The way the Marvel universe has set it up, they just have another version of yourself there Okay, and that's how they can get to tell multiple origin stories, right? They can tell the origin story of Spider-Man multiple times, and okay, I get that. But it would be way more interesting to know that the laws of physics could be different. Then you could tell a completely different story with different laws of physics. Oh my gosh! So it's a lost opportunity as far as I'm concerned.
Dr. Tyson. Okay. So this is Benjamin Hooks here. All right, I go by Benjamin. And I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of your work, huge fan of your intellect. And one question that I do have, because I do understand when you do your event tomorrow, you're going to be breaking down movies, things they got right, things that they got wrong. One movie that I personally love is Buzz Lightyear, the new Buzz Lightyear movie, where he actually goes to the future. I know you're not trying to go back to the past, because I don't want to get whipped either. All right, but is that a plausible way to actually travel to the future?
Okay, so I didn't see the new Buzz Lightyear, so forgive me on that. But there are ways, there are natural ways to go into the future, but it's not through a time machine. You just put yourself into a different gravitational field. They portrayed this in the film Interstellar. So if you go to a black hole planet, where the planet is orbiting near a black hole, you're in a very deep, strong gravitational field. Your clocks and your metabolism and everything ticks more slowly there. And if you remember that film, they went down to do some work on the planet. They came back to the spacecraft. The guys in the spacecraft aged 20 years, and they aged like 45 minutes. So they technically went into the future.
Right. Correct.
But they leapfrogged. They kind of sped into the future. They didn't just dip into the future, and now they can't go back, right, from the future. So I don't want to lose the time that I have seeing what my kids grow and all the rest of that. Right. You would basically leapfrog across that and find
kind of like what happened on Captain America, and when he went into the future with the
Right, he had a love interest that he pursued into the future. Right, that's correct. And he said, "I'm done." Right, get somebody else to do the work. So,
and they gave it to a brother.
You guys are. Yes. That was early. That was early Hollywood woke. Okay, we'll take it.
Right.
All right, we're gonna run the break.
Marvel fluent.
Hey, look, we're gonna run the break. When we come back, I want to ask you about the astral realm, because I saw this stuff. And it's a guy that believes that you can meditate and get in other people's dreams. Do you believe in that at the astral realm?
I don't see good evidence for that.
Yeah.
If your only evidence is what someone said happened, that's all right. Until you can demonstrate objectively that it happened, sort of in a testable way. If it's only living inside your head, fine, let it happen inside your head. But if you have no tangible evidence that it happened, it's not useful to anybody else.
Right.
That's my point.
That's what
we can talk about it after the break.
Well, we'll go to break. When we come back, it's a couple things. We got Godzilla, B. Justice, Elizabeth Brown, Benjamin, and Dr. Tyson on the show right now. When we come back, we're gonna have more conversations. Truth Nation, stay locked in right here on Tory Lowe.
It's the Tory Lowe Show on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
And now I'm here. And
y'all know what it is, Truth Nation. It's 101.7 The Truth, Tory Lowe Show. Hometown Thursdays. We got Neil deGrasse Tyson on the line.
I couldn't trust you, but you never.
Astrophysicist.
And now I'm here, and you're sitting there cold.
Get your weight up, Truth Nation. It's 101.7 The Truth. I'm blurred.
I spent hours on my wrist to watch.
101.7 The Truth, Tory Lowe Show. The Black-owned business Give Back is back. We have again teamed up with Associated Bank to help local businesses grow and succeed together. The Home of Milwaukee Black Talk will be giving away $6,000 worth of free commercial advertisement for 3 months to 5 black businesses each quarter of 2023. To sign up for this incredible marketing opportunity, visit blackbusiness.com. That's blackbusinessgiveback.com. Let's rebuild our community's backbone through exposure on the truth. For official contest rules, head to blackbusinessgiveback.com. Associated Bank, member FDIC. also tune into the new 1017 The Truth this Saturday at 11 a.m. for our new show, Diversity and Excellence, powered by Erie Insurance and hosted by Dr. Ken Harris and Fred Johnson, the Vice President of Wisconsin State and Wisconsin State Manager of Erie Insurance. Dr. Ken and Fred Johnson will discuss Erie Insurance community engagement efforts and how they are looking to make a positive impact in Milwaukee. So again, don't miss this debut of Diversity and Excellence, powered by Erie Insurance, this Saturday at 11 a.m. on the new 1017 The Truth. Hey, look, we've been having a powerful conversation. We got Dr. Tyson, Neil Tyson, Dr. Neil Tyson on the lines. We got also Godzilla, B. Justice, Elizabeth Brown in the building. And Dr. Tyson, I got a question.
Yeah, bring it on.
Now, we was talking about the astral realm, but then you gave your opinion on that. But Godzilla is in the studio with me, and Godzilla says,
let me frame it.
Okay, I'll let you frame it. Yeah.
So let me ask respectfully. I want to make sure I ask respectfully, because though I don't consider myself a member, I do consider myself a twatcher of UFO Twitter, right? So I twatch it, right? I was wondering what would it actually take to hear you say that the UFO phenomenon is something that you can agree with is extraterrestrial? What would you need to see? And I apologize if that's a rough one to hit you with, but it's kind of something I wanted to ask.
Yeah, so I would need to see vastly more evidence, better evidence than has been put forth. When you look at the ability of any of us to produce a high-resolution photo or video of anything that's happening in front of us, there are 6 billion smartphones in the world right now. So in a way, we're crowdsourcing any possible alien invasion.
Right.
And not only that, there's 1 million people at any given moment who are airborne with a window to the side of them, and they've got their phone on their hip. And so I would need something better than a fuzzy tic-tac on Navy restricted airspace taken by pilots where nobody knows what they're looking at. So I would need something better. Show me an alien walking towards you. Show me an alien. Just show me something. And then, by the way, even then I'd say I have to make sure it's not a hoax. Okay? This is a normal scientific process. Because somebody's producing extraordinary claim, and I would say, was it hoax? Is there other camera angles? Are they consistent? And then we said, this is cool. Let's investigate it. Let's do biology experiments. Let's see if they'll agree. Okay, and so that's the kind of evidence I'd be looking for, but not what has been put forth. Lights in the sky, things you can't explain. There are plenty of things you can't explain.
But the United States government, the United States,
you can't explain it is not itself evidence that it's extraterrestrials. The Europeans did that in Africa. Okay,
right.
They went to Africa, saw Egypt, could not explain it. To this day, you have Europeans and some Americans think aliens built it. As much as I enjoyed the movie Stargate, I thought it was a very well done film. It still credits aliens for the pyramids, and not the billions of Native Africans for doing it.
Trash.
That's two against one right now. That's two against one right now.
Them aliens
I feel outnumbered.
Made them pyramids. They hating. They hating on our heritage.
Okay, well, hold on, Tory, and hold on, Dr. Tyson.
Trash.
Okay, so can we dial it back into what we're talking about for your event? Talk to me about the movie Prometheus and what theories that you might have seen as it aligned with panspermia and those thoughts.
Oh, yeah. So Prometheus is fascinating. That's, for those who don't remember, it was designed as the prequel to the movie Alien, and it was also directed by Ridley Scott. Has some fascinating scenes in it. I thought it was a little overambitious in what it tried to do, but it's a spectacular film. And what it shows is, what it puts forth is that there's a higher species of human that has human DNA, but is like better than human in some other planet, and they seeded Earth with DNA. And out of that DNA arose the life that we have here on Earth. And presumably they've seeded other places. And this is a version of panspermia. Panspermia doesn't involve intelligent forcing, but it's the same idea. Life began somewhere else and then transports by whatever means. It could be in the nooks of asteroids that were blasted off of surfaces by other asteroids that hit. Okay. It could, Mars, by the way, had water and running rivers before Earth did.
Correct.
It could be that life began on Mars, got cast into the interplanetary space, and with microbes that could survive it, landed on Earth, feeding life on Earth. If we find life on Mars and it has DNA, oh my gosh. That would be evidence that life on Earth, we are all descendants of Martians. That'd be kind of cool.
We are not the same. I am a Martian.
They did that on cue, like they had power rings to connect.
Some people are more descendants than others, but I would have to say.
Well, I appreciate
so that's
you.
an intriguing idea.
I appreciate you for coming on the show. We definitely talk about some of the things that are just kind of above sometimes those ideas of science and things like that and how we look at things. Sometimes, we need people like you to try to break this down, and I appreciate you, Dr. Tyson.
All the time.
At the Riverside Theater, Friday night. I'm there. That's it.
Riverside Theater.
By the way, you guys are
Friday
totally nerding out here. Totally nerding out.
Definitely.
The word for black nerd is blurred. I don't know if you knew that.
Dig it. I got me a new one.
I'm a blurred.
Oh, boy.
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Official vocabulary.
Everybody joining us on the show. Any last words?
Oh, I think, science, if we don't, the universe is fine. It's Earth that's messed up. And why is it messed up? Because people first ignore the warnings of scientists. Every disaster movie you've ever seen begins by official people ignoring the advice of scientists.
Right.
Okay? So this is not coming out of nowhere. This is like there's real evidence that people want to stand in denial of science, that it's been objectively demonstrated to be true. That is the beginning of the end of civilization, the day that takes over. And so my biggest fear is not the asteroid that could come. It's the fact that people will ignore the warnings that the asteroid is coming, and then we go extinct because no one took notice. My point is, the future of civilization is going to pivot on on how well science and our understanding of nature is implemented in laws and legislation that run the future of the world. And if that does not happen, let's just all move back to the cave, because that's where we're headed anyway.
Oh, wow. Did we all come from the cave, or was that the Caucasus Mountains? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. I was swinging on the vine. I was told that we was from Africa. We had all of these advanced technologies. So when you say we got to go back to the cave, is black people going back to the cave?
He's talking about the technology that was available to you in the time. This is what he's talking about. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word technology and cave in the same sentence.
Okay.
That doesn't tend to work.
Right.
So caves provide shelter when you needed it. And if you evolved in a place that required no shelter, then no, you don't need caves. You just sleep out in the open.
I don't think the land of the lost was my... I don't think the land of the lost was my history.
Oh, that's fine. But all history does trace back to
I was just messing with you.
So that's...
Hey, I appreciate
no one has a history that didn't begin in Africa. That's all I'm saying. Right. When people say, I'm European, and I trace my ancestry to Sweden or Spain. Well, you chose to stop there. If you kept going, you'd end up in Africa.
Right.
The people who try to talk about their heritage... in the end, we're all African, everybody.
Right.
And there's not enough public recognition of that, actually, but there it is.
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Hey, all right, let everybody know what you're doing in town and how can we participate.
Yeah, no, I'm just coming through town, giving a public talk in the Riverside Theater in Milwaukee.
At the Riverside Theater.
Friday night.
All
yes,
right.
Riverside Theater. And you all know where that is and how to contact them. But I'm talking about pop culture science as it manifests in movies and movies that we've seen. Some maybe you haven't seen some of them, but at the end you'll come out, I think, smiling because you're a little more connected to what role science has played, is playing, and can continue to play in our lives to make us live longer, happier, and safer in this world.
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I appreciate you for coming on the show today, and I'm looking forward to that show.
All right, you got it, guys. Okay, we got a whole Blurred family operating in the middle of Milwaukee. That's
right.
good. Okay,
that was a unique conversation. I appreciate you for tapping in.
Guys.
God bless you.
All right, bye.
Mm-hmm. Hey, look, when we come back, we'll be in the studio with Godzilla and B Justice. And we also in studio with Justice Wisconsin advocate and author Elizabeth Brown. Stay locked in right here on Tory Lowe.